Hi guys, welcome back to Whisky Aficionado. I'm Trevor, and today we're heading far north of Scotland to try something known as the Maritime Malt. It's Old Pulteney 12, and it's a Highland single malt bottled at 40%. The marketing people up there tell me that it promises sea salt, honey citrus, coastal character, but does it genuinely taste of the sea? Is there genuinely that coastal character? Because, you know, it's not always right what the marketing people say, is it? But before we taste it, let's get the technical information out of the road. It is obviously Pulteney Distillery. It's 12 years old. It's a Highland single malt at 40%. Location is Wick in Caithness in Scotland, which is way up the far north, sort of towards the Irish Sea to North Sea type thing. Chill filtered. There is 150 colouring in here, so the reason behind that is that they say that they want each batch to have a consistent colour. So they use E150A to make sure that each batch that goes out has got the same colour. Personally, I'd prefer that they didn't use colouring and perhaps they bumped it up to 46%, which would be more inviting. So the whiskey itself, it is ex-American oak bourbon barrels, and the owner is Inverhouse Distillers, which is part of the International Beverage Group. So the distillery itself describes the whiskey as being matured in exclusively air-dried ex-bourbon barrels. I don't know what that means. Air-dried? What, hair dryer? Or I have no idea. So yeah, as I said, I prefer it a little bit beefier, but you can't always have what you want, can you? A little bit of the distillery history, just very, very quickly. Pulteney Distillery was formed by James Henderson in 1826 in the coastal town of Wick, as we mentioned. And at the time, Wick was a huge herring fishing town. People used to come in. It was a very, very busy place, especially during the fishing season. However, it was so remote that the barley for the distillery had actually to be shipped in, and then of course the whiskey had to be shipped out, and of course that was always done by boat. So the distillery always has maintained its close relationship with the sea, and therefore the warehouse actually sits on the North Sea, right on the coast. So yeah, I can see how it would pick up a coastal character. There's no question about that. The distillery itself uses worm tub condensers, which help to produce a heavier and more characterful spirit. It's got a pair of stills, but during the opening of the distillery, or the engineering phase, they didn't take into consideration just how tall the stills were. So Scottish ingenuity, so what it meant is they just chopped off the top of the stills. So there you go. The bottle itself, it's a heavy set bottle, real heavy, and this curves at the top of the neck of the bottle represent the shape of the stills. So that's a nice little touch. Hi guys, not often you get something for free, completely free in the whiskey industry. My tasting chart with all the descriptors are on there. Download it for free in the link below. Sláinte. Bottle's nice, solid, very solid. Let's open it up. Love that sound. And pour myself a little dram. It's actually cold in here, and I never really talk about how your whiskey, do you like your whiskey cold? Do you like your whiskey room temperature? I don't think you would like it warm unless it's in an Irish hot toddy when you're feeling a little bit under the weather. I don't know, maybe. So it does. It's a nice bottle, nicely presented. Let's get my big snout towards the glass and see what's going on in the aroma or the smell. Nothing off, which is always a good start. But I do notice vanilla, honey, sweetness, toffee. Maybe citrus, as the marketing people say, a little bit of citrus, orange peel, green apples. Slightly floral. Don't get too much Maritime character at the moment on the nose. No, not really. So let's try it. Soft, sweet, relatively light in body, and that equals your 40%, doesn't it? But I'm getting that honey, vanilla cream. I'm getting salt and briny dryness, a little bit of oiliness going on. So that is bringing in that coastal character. Do you know, I had this just last week or earlier in the week at my tasting, and it was the first of 5 drams on the evening, and we self-pour. We give ourselves a decent amount of it, but everybody was, yeah, okay. Old Pulteney 12, 40%. It'll be a warm-up before we get into the larger ABVs or different characters. But so I was expecting a real boring sort of 40% Highland dram. Do you know, honestly, it's not boring, and I'll say it's not boring because there is things going on in the glass. There's character in the glass, and what I mean by that is you are starting to get that salty dryness, the brine. You've got the sweetness, you've got the honey, you've got those sort of things happening on the nose, and maybe not the coastal on the nose, but certainly in the glass, certainly in the palate, and it makes it like a characterful opening dram. And it's a basic entry level dram. This is about $88 in where I am in New Zealand, which I think is about $60 US and maybe 45 pounds. I'm not quite sure, but you can let me know in the comments. So value for money, I think that's pretty damn good, you know. The finish, you know, they say in the marketing department, they'll tell you that the finish is medium to long. Couldn't make up their mind. Well, guys, I can tell you it's short and dry. It doesn't last a long time, and it's not going to last a long time because it doesn't have the ABV to carry that through. It is nice, but yeah, the finish, it disappears quite quick and gives you that tiny little dryness on the palate. Well, you just have to keep drinking more because you're getting a dry mouth, aren't you? So, yep, look, it's very, very good. As I say, I'd prefer it. I'd like to see it in 46. I'd like to see it in cask strength. Now, there's an idea. That would be a superb dram, I reckon. Scoring, look, it's not a 1 barrel, which is not for me. It's not a 5 barrels, which is just awesome whiskey. So it's somewhere in between. I was going to look at 2 barrels and say this is an interesting dram. But I'm going to give it 3 because it's a solid dram. And what makes it exciting is that it's a solid dram at an entry-level price. So you don't have to get boring drams. You can get something that just is going one way, just very slightly into that coastal maritime sort of character. It would be very interesting to know. So anyway, 3 barrels scoring for this. But it would be interesting to know if you've tried it. It would be interesting to know what you think about it, and it would also be interesting to know, do you agree with what I've said or not agree with what I've said, or am I completely full of crap? I don't know. I just do it for the fun, guys. So make sure you subscribe to the channel. This is a midweek or a Thursday review, so it's a little bit of an extra one this week, simply because I have the bottles at the moment to go through and get them out of here. Which is an awful job, isn't it? It's terrible. Someone has to do it, I guess. But anyway, drink responsibly, and until the next time, sláinte, guys.